Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants Hangout. This is part of a full day of hangouts celebrating amazing women in science and exploration. I'm thrilled to be joined by our guest right now, Stephanie Arne. For those who don't know, Stephanie is the first female host of the iconic Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. She's worked at leading zoos across the U.S., as well as places like SeaWorld and the Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium. She's been a dive scout for whale sharks in Australia, in Western Australia, all kinds of amazing things, working with educational groups in Japan and Thailand and Malaysia and New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. It's pretty amazing. Stephanie gets to see and do a lot of amazing things. She gets to share her passion for education and for animals and the environment with us. And she's just embarked on something called the Creative Animal Foundation, a road trip across the United States in her tiny home to promote sustainability. So I don't know if Stephanie will mention it today, but I'll definitely share the link with students so they can check it out. The Creative Animal Foundation. It's an awesome new not-for-profit. Stephanie, you're so busy. It's so great to have you joining us in our classrooms today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and hello to all of you all over the country. I'm honored to be able to chat with you today very quickly from a very cold hotel room in Omaha, Nebraska. But I'm very, very excited to be here. I would just jump right into doing a quick presentation so you could get a better idea of what got me into what I'm doing today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and hopefully I do it correctly. Okay, do you see a big orange screen?
Success.
Woohoo! Okay, so my wildlife. So for those of you who don't know, because I know some of you are a little bit younger, but I'm the host of an animal show called Wild Kingdom. And Wild Kingdom started in 1963 and aired until probably around 86. And it was the very first TV program that really took people around the world from their homes. They would sit in their homes and watch TV every Sunday night and get to see all over the world. And back then there was only 3 channels. So people used to look forward to watching the animal programs every single Sunday. They would get so excited. So that is me now. I'm fortunate enough to have gotten this position, and I pinch myself every day. It's such a cool job. I get to travel all around the world and teach people about sharks and penguins and snakes and how we're connected to nature and how we need to respect it and love it a little bit better because we're also a part of it. So respecting nature is respecting ourselves. But I started off actually growing up in Iowa. And I moved around a lot as a kid, a lot. And so I feel like I'm very adaptable. And I know you guys know that word adaptation. It's when an animal has the ability to adapt and be able to change themselves a little bit and to be open to new experiences in order to survive. And I think that moving around a lot really helped me. It made me more compassionate. It helped me see the bigger picture of how the world works, and made me meet different types of people and see different types of animals and habitats, and I absolutely fell in love with it. So when I was a kid, I vowed that I'd always keep traveling all over the world so that I can meet incredible people. But I knew even when I was a kid that I wanted to be an explorer, and I was always very passionate about science and especially nature. And then as I got older, I started becoming even more fascinated with how people, all different types of people, how they saw nature. What did they think about animals and the habitats around them? And so I started studying people too. And I did that in high school and in college. I studied as much as I could, and I read a lot of books, and I did a lot of internships that were unpaid. I joined a lot of different groups to see what I liked and what I didn't like. And then when I was a senior in college, I finally got the opportunity to go to Africa, and that changed my entire life. It was my very first time that I ever left the country. So my parents were very nervous, but it ended up being a very life-changing experience where I realized that I don't have to be a teacher just in Iowa and South Dakota and Omaha. Like, I could be a teacher all over the world. And I met some of the most incredible people on my world travels that I did after I graduated from college up until I was about 30 years old. So in 8 years, I visited well over 20 countries. And I just met the most incredible people that were really connected to nature and respected it and knew where their food came from because they grew it. They knew how they got their meat because they raised the cattle and the chickens and the pigs. And it was just such a neat experience. I also met some rangers, some of them that used to be poachers. And the first time I saw this man with a gun, I remember being like, "That's a poacher, let's go get him." And then my guide said, no, he used to be a poacher, but now he is a ranger that helps protect elephants and rhinos and cheetahs. He has the skills to do either bad or good. And he was a very sad man when he was a poacher. He was making money to support his family, but he was very sad. So when he found out that he could use his skills for good to make the ecosystems and animals healthier and happier, that's what he chose to do. And I thought that was really incredible. I came back from Africa and I started my job at the Omaha Zoo. And like you see in the commercial, or the picture in the bottom left, I've been doing a lot of online programs for a long time, actually before Google Hangouts and Skype even existed. I was doing a lot of programs like this. And so to me, it's important that no matter where I'm at, that I can speak and reach to people all over the world. I was able to do similar types of programs, all different types of educational programs, with or without animals, at many different zoos. So the Omaha Zoo, the San Diego Zoo, Honolulu Zoo, and SeaWorld are some of the main animal facilities that I worked with. But I also got the opportunity in between those zoos to travel to many different countries because Africa really inspired me. And I wanted to see things other than animal facilities. I wanted to help with rescue programs. I wanted to learn about wildlife trafficking and habitat destruction and oil spills. And so I just went out looking for the bad and the good so that I could see different perspectives of why people were choosing to live their lives the way that they were. And it was interesting to see people have pets that were elephants and pets that were gibbons. I know you can't see in the photo very well, but the woman on the right photo, there's a woman with an orange shirt, and her family all died in a really big tsunami that happened many years back. And she was poor. And so she found this baby gibbon all by himself and she adopted it. And she realized that tourists wanted to take pictures with it. So some people look at her right away and go, "Oh, I'm so disgusted with you. I can't believe you would take this baby from the mother," which she didn't. She rescued it. And some people even judge right away and say, "Oh, I can't believe that you're making money off of letting tourists, take pictures." But you have to remember, that's the life that she was given. She's just trying to survive. And I realized that I have a pretty healthy, happy, stable life in America. And not everybody has that opportunity all over the world to be taken care of as well as we do. And so if I was in her position, maybe I would have done the same just to earn a few bucks to put food on the table. So it just gave me a new perspective. I worked on the Great Barrier Reef and Ningaloo Reef in Australia, which was a huge dream for me. And I counted coral. I learned so much about fish. I helped tag sharks. It was an incredible experience learning about the ocean, and I got a lot of dives in as well, which was pretty cool. Since Borneo wasn't too far away, I hopped on a plane so that I could learn more about the habitat destruction that's happening in Borneo, so around in Malaysia. So I could learn about the different primates like orangutans. And then I found out that there was an opportunity to help rescue endangered sea turtles and capture their eggs and put them into an enclosure where predators and humans couldn't steal the eggs, because we eat chicken eggs, but in a lot of other countries, they eat turtle eggs. And you might be going, what are you talking about? But remember that every country has different animals and different fruits and vegetables that they need to survive. And so to them, it's weird that we eat chicken eggs. They eat sea turtle eggs. The only problem is that chickens have eggs every day, and sea turtles don't even start laying eggs until they're probably around 30. So we need more sea turtles in the oceans because they don't have eggs as often, and so their populations have decreased over the years. So humans all over the world are doing what they can to not only help sea turtles, but orangutans and many other species. I always wanted to learn how to sail, and thankfully I got the opportunity to do so through Papua New Guinea, and I met some people, and some incredible people in the tribes all over the islands in New Guinea. There was a really big oil spill in New Zealand, so I went and helped clean up penguins that were covered in oil that we use to run our cars, to heat our homes, to make plastic. We really depend on oil, but unfortunately accidents do happen, and when they do, there's people out there that are rescue teams that go and save and protect these animals. And in that funny picture on the right, I was making a fish smoothie. So I was chopping up fish and putting them in a blender and pretending to eat it. But no, I wasn't eating it. I was joking. I was giving that away to the penguins. I tend to keep going back to Hawaii. It's one of my favorite places on the planet. And when I was there, that's when I started doing a lot more TV commercials and stuff, and realized that I liked being on camera, and it was fun to get the message out. And that's when I was picked to become the new host of Wild Kingdom. So I moved from Hawaii, and I've been traveling all over the country teaching and filming ever since. Very, very grateful for every single person that I work with, because they're all wildlife heroes to me. And it doesn't matter to me if they work at a rescue or an animal sanctuary or a zoo, or if they're working out on a ship protecting whales, or if there's somebody that's a filmmaker or somebody that's in construction that builds with materials that are healthier for the environment. To me, anybody can be a wildlife hero and can help out our planet, not just for animals, but for people too. So I'm very fortunate for the career that I have. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop my screen share. Hopefully I can, have I done that, Joe?
You have, you're back.
Okay. Yeah. I tried to be quick because I know I only have a few minutes and people are gonna have some questions, but hopefully you guys have seen that I took a lot of risks and I traveled the world because I wanted to see many different things out there. And what was really cool is in the process, I learned the things that I didn't like to do. And as I started learning that, it just all of a sudden magically what I was meant to do kind of unveiled itself, instead of me desperately trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I don't know if that perspective is a little bit different, because a lot of people, especially once you get older, people are going to say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's, you know, I think a lot of us are still figuring that out. Even though I'm 34, I'm still like, what do I want to do next? So for me, exploring the world has been a way to explore myself and who I am and what I need, what I can do in this lifetime. So hopefully you do the same. So anybody have any questions about travel or different types of science, careers or projects or any of that?
All right. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much. I always enjoy the path you took. I always enjoy your message. It's always so inspirational. I know you've definitely inspired some of the students joining us today, but let's meet some of them and give them a chance to ask some questions. So Mrs. Terpstra's group is a grade 2 group. Must be a couple classrooms because there's about 60 of them joining in, and I'll open their mic so they can ask a question.
Anybody have a question about traveling or animals or Kaylin, do you want to go ahead and speak clearly? Say hello. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. What's your question?
How long have you been working
With animals?
with the animals?
Very good question.
Very good question.
Started working with animals when I was probably about your age. I started helping at a cat and dog animal rescue, and I was also helping my family on the farm. So I was working with pigs and chickens and horses. So that's when I started learning about animals and learning about their personalities and their purpose on the planet. So when I was your age, I helped with animals a lot. But then as I got older, I started volunteering at zoos and aquariums and animal rescues and stuff. Thank you.
All right, so we do have a little bit of time, so if you want to sneak in another question, great. Go ahead.
Hi.
What kind of animals do you work with?
I have worked with every animal you can possibly think of, whether it was actually doing an animal program or helping care for them at a zoo or doing a rescue program out in the world. I've been fortunate enough to work with many different species. I bet. How about what's your favorite animal? We'll see if I worked with them or not.
Yeah, what's your favorite animal too? What's your favorite animal?
No, what's your favorite?
Oh, she wants to know yours.
What's your favorite?
We're thinking.
Dolphin.
Dolphin.
Dolphins, pretty fascinating animals.
All right, great questions and good choice. Dolphins are pretty darn cool. Let's see, our next group, Mrs. Fuller's group, is joining us from Eagle River in Wisconsin. They're a group of grade 5s, and I'll just turn your microphone on. There we go.
What was your favorite thing to see when you were traveling?
What was my favorite thing that I saw when I was traveling?
Yeah.
Do you mean like animals or people? Are you looking for something specific?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. Honestly, I think my favorite thing I saw out of everything was seeing how good people can be. That when bad stuff does happen, good people will come together and be kind and nice to each other to work together to help the big problem. Whether it was an oil spill or trees being cut down or an animal choking on plastic, it was cool that people could get over trying to be super popular or really cool and just let it go and be loving and kind and help each other. No matter what color their skin was, what age they were, or what country they were from. In the end, we're all humans. We all have a good heart and we all want to do what's best. And it's really nice to know that there are a lot of good people out there.
All right, go ahead with another question.
When you were traveling, what animal was your favorite to work with?
Ooh, I'm going to say sharks was my favorite animal to work with. And the reason why I say sharks is because they're so incredibly misunderstood. You know, movies and commercials and TV try to make some animals come off like they're bad guys, like they're monsters. And they do it because it helps create an emotion of fear, and it made you watch the movie more because you're like, whoa, what's going to happen? But in the end, movies, a lot of them really don't care that when you're done with a movie that you might create this deep fear about this animal, regardless of whether the movie was true or not. And why that's a problem is that if you're afraid of snakes and spiders and wolves and tigers and these animals that appear to be scary because they're just trying to defend themselves or they have scary teeth so that they can eat their food, then you stop caring about them. And if you stop caring about them, then you don't fight as hard to keep them on the planet. I remember growing up and I still hear people say the only good shark is a dead shark. And that's not true. Sharks are incredibly intelligent, interesting, fascinating animals that are so important to our ocean's food web for the health of our ocean because they control the balance of the ecosystem. They control populations of fish, and really they're eating mostly the old or the sick or the diseased fish. So they're helping to keep our oceans clean, no matter if they're a great white shark or a little leopard shark or a nurse shark. They all have a really specific job. So it's important to me that people understand that every animal, regardless of whether you think it's cute or if it's scary, it has a purpose. And we do need to respect that and help them to continually be on this planet.
Well said. Awesome, Stephanie. We're going to hear an announcement in the background. Of course, it comes on right when I come back on, but let's introduce our next class. Mrs. Zandecki's grade 4s are joining us from Brevard, North Carolina. Your microphone is on.
This is Dal's 4th grade class at Pisgah Forest Elementary School. We do have a couple questions.
What inspired you to help animals?
That's a big question. That's a really big question. Good one. Have you ever seen an animal? Have you ever seen an animal get killed before? Ever? Raise your hand if you've seen an animal die before.
I don't think so.
I have. And when I was really little, I saw an animal die, and it made me very sad. And I know a lot of us don't like to think about this stuff. I understand. I know it makes people uncomfortable. But when I was younger, I saw a janitor at a camp I was at, actually in Canada, who was just trying to protect us from a porcupine. And this porcupine got lost. It accidentally walked into our gym when we were cheerleading and playing around. And some girls and boys got scared because of its spines. It can be pokey, right? But it's an herbivore. It's not gonna attack us or anything. But the janitor, instead of safely getting it back outside, he unfortunately accidentally killed it. And it wasn't pretty. It was really, really scary and sad. And my heart pretty hard. And I realized that although that janitor didn't realize that he was being harmful to the animal, he was. And I just remember thinking, I was 7 or 8 years old, and I'm like, I'm gonna help people know that all animals feel pain, that all animals are just here to do a very important job, and that every single one of us, like I said, no matter whether it's that porcupine, or you're a human, or you're a shark, or you're a cute cuddly koala, we all have a purpose, and we all are trying to survive, and we all do feel feelings. They might not be the exact same as your feelings or my feelings because, hey, look, I can't talk to a porcupine. It can't tell me what it's thinking, but I do know that it feels pain. And a lot of people are still learning that about animals. And so that is what inspired me to teach about animals. Thank you. That's a very good question. And it's a very emotional one for me because it brings it back. But thank you.
Great question, North Carolina. Do you guys have one more for Stephanie?
Or Dallas?
What's your favorite animal-related thing you've done?
Oh. I should be ready for these questions, huh? Oh gosh, there's so many good ones. There's so many good ones. The favorite is so hard because they're all so different for so many different reasons. It always feels really good to save an animal. You know, anytime an animal is hurt or is dealing with some sort of human issue, it feels great to be able to save that animal and prove to them that not all humans are bad. You know, that feels great, but it's not an easy process because rescuing an animal, they're scared, they don't trust you, you know, stranger danger. That's how animals feel. So it's always a very difficult, scary, hard process, but rescuing animals is really amazing. However, I think the most impactful one for me was the very first time I jumped in the ocean to do some research with a huge whale shark. And I was in the water, and it was just open ocean, and I see this beautiful spotted, huge shark swim up to me. And I just remember thinking, whoa, like underwater, I think I started laughing, and I was, you know, choking up water in my snorkel because I was like, oh, that was so cool. But it was just so cool to feel so small next to a whale shark. And that's when I realized that biggest, most important thing on the planet. There's a lot of really amazing things out there to see and be impacted by. So yeah, whale shark.
That's a good one. I would love, love, love to swim with a whale shark, hopefully one day, and one day soon. All right, our final group joining us is, let me check my list. I believe it's Mrs. Bowser's group in West. Oh, no, sorry. That's not the right one. I don't have it on my list, but it's looks like Mrs. Kearns. Let me turn your mic on. Can you guys hear me? There we go. Mrs. Kearns, what grade are you guys?
No, we're actually Mrs. Bowser's room. You were right. I'm just helping out.
You're
Right.
tricking me with the name on Google. All right. Well, then I know that you're from West Jefferson and you're a grade 2 class.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What is scuba diving like?
Say it again.
Louder.
What is scuba diving like?
Oh, what is scuba diving like? It's like a whole new world. You go under the water and it's like cities. It's like cities of coral reef, and there's fish and stingrays and turtles and eels. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you'll see some reef sharks, and sometimes you'll hear dolphins. And it just feels like you're going into New York City or Toronto or Dallas or San Diego or LA, but it's all underwater. And it's so busy. Fish are going around everywhere. Some of them are planting algae. Some of them are traveling between reefs and eating coral. You see sometimes sharks will come up or turtles will come up to an area and they freeze in the water and don't move. And you're like, what's going on here? And it's because there's little fish called cleaner wrasse that clean their gills and clean around in their body. So a predator has asked a prey animal to help clean it. And because of that agreement, they don't eat each other. So there's just so many fascinating things underwater. So I highly recommend that as soon as you are all old enough, which I believe is 12 or 13, get your open water scuba diving certification and get underwater. And I know it might be kind of scary, but once you do anything once, you might realize it's really not as scary as people might think. It's actually the coolest. It's way cooler than TV and video games, in my opinion.
All right. I am with you there. I've been diving for 10 years and it's by far one of my favorite things to do.
Yep. Like a magical world, don't you think, Joe?
Absolutely. And I love how, you know, on land, you're walking through the forest and most things take off and disappear. You see them for a second, but underwater, it's totally different. You're actually surrounded by all the life. Yeah.
Yeah, the animals don't really run away from you when you're underwater. A lot of the, they don't touch you. I've never really been touched by any animal underwater, but some of the like the sweet fish will come up to your, right up to your mask and be like, "What are you?" It's kind of cool. Do we have one more questions? I see a young lady with the brown shirt here.
What was college like, and how long have you been going to college?
Great question. Yeah, I went to college or university for 4 years, and I have a bachelor's in science and like behavioral sciences. So I study human and animals behavior. So our actions and how we treat the world, each other, and how we treat the world around us. And so that is a really fun degree to get. And in general, college was really important because I got to explore through books and with teachers and with guest speakers that I could do in my life. And college is really fun, and you meet a lot of really amazing people. And I don't know if I'd be where I am today without going to college. It doesn't mean that you have to go. If it's not for you, it's not. However, it is an incredible resource, and it allowed me to do everything that I'm doing today in science and exploration.
All right. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much. Like I said, I love all the work that you do. I can't wait to follow you over the next year and a bit on your adventures with the Creative Animal Foundation. I'll definitely post a link on the Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants page so students can check it out. And classrooms, thank you for the great questions. Thank you for taking time to join us as we celebrate amazing women in science and exploration. And Stephanie, good luck with the rest of your day and your adventures in the coming week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Oh, very, very much. Make sure to explore, everybody, okay? Take care. Bye.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.